Um, well, today certainly ended excitingly. um, Woke up after 10, but, you know, after deciding I was done with Red Dead 2, I wanted to replay Witcher 3. And I booted it up and figured I'll let this update. I'll find something else to fill the time and let this update. So I switched gears to going back to Rimroll because it's been a few weeks since, or maybe not a few weeks, but a decent enough time since Ideology launch that, and more importantly 1.3, that most of the basic quality of life mods were probably updated. And I was right, there's still a couple that I'm missing. Prepare carefully, for instance, somebody needs to get on that. But, you know, for the most part, one big one that was missing the last time I tried to play was Blueprints. I didn't really get to use it a lot after installing it, but having used it even just 2 or 3 times, it's a lifesaver for quickly expanding your colony, particularly bedrooms. It makes, you know, you just seriously just copy pasting just for bedrooms is really great. But Workshop needed an update. It was taking its time, and so I ended up laying back down until about 2. Got up, you know, finally got settled into a map on RimWorld. And then later in the afternoon, I happened to notice a snake in the front yard through my window. No big deal, I thought. I'll just let him go on through. But then I realized when it got closer to my window, I could tell it was a rattlesnake. And at the time, Lindsay and Audrey were over, and I didn't know if they were outside, so I was like, alright, I'm gonna go around and at the very least make sure it doesn't come into the backyard. Now I'm sure there are a lot of you out there that are just like, you idiot, why are you going to mess with the snake? Well, I'm not, I wasn't entirely ignorant. I got the biggest rake we have, which is a little over 6 feet long. And the idea was, I'm not even going to mess with it unless it starts coming towards the backyard. And it kind of did, and so, you know, I also know that it's either half or 2/3. A coiled snake can strike half or 2/3 of its body length. But I knew I was pretty much safe because the rake was longer than the snake. So there was no real way for it to hurt me as long as I was using the rake. So I go out there, and it just kind of stops when it notices me. Doesn't coil, like, doesn't, it just kind of like, alright, if I'm still, he can't see me, right? So I poke it with the rake, and huge surprise, it coils and rattles. I'm just like, alright, big guy, I'm gonna let you calm down. And he stopped, he chilled out relatively quickly. They only rattled for like 30 seconds or so. So I start throwing pine cones at it, trying to get it to move on. And that's not even disturbing him to the point where he rattles more. In fact, like, I hit him with one or two while he was still rattling, and it didn't seem to, because he like constantly was slowing down for the most part. And then after it stopped rattling, even hitting it with a pine cone didn't make it rattle again. Well, eventually, Dad comes around with the hose and tries to run it off. And instead of leaving, it goes and hides in a bush out front, just outside my room. It's like, alright, great. Well, I guess we're going to leave it there because I can't really see it now. Well, we kind of kept an eye on it to see how long it was going to hang out in this bush. And eventually, our neighbors up the hill, we don't know them that well, but it's not like, we just never really spoke. It's like another small cluster of houses, and we've kind of kept to ourselves, and they've kind of kept to themselves. Well, I say that, I don't really know them. My parents do. They know a decent amount of them. My grandparents do. I've just personally never had much interaction with them, because I'm an introvert. Well, he kills one just up the road, and it kind of made me reevaluate my thing, because I've been on, I don't want to say a nature kick, but even like when it comes to spiders, if they're not in my room, I don't kill them. Now, several times over the past few weeks, for some reason I haven't mentioned this, but I've had like really small ones straight up drop from my roof slowly, drop from the ceiling slowly, and onto me, basically. Like when I sit in the cover under my chair, onto the cover, right? I'm sorry, at that point, I'm killing the spider. But, for the most part, I very much live and let live. And that's what I called myself being with this snake. But I've reevaluated that slightly when it comes to venomous snakes. Because my dad said it best. If we see a rattlesnake or something like that we know can hurt and possibly kill someone, and we don't do anything about it, and it goes up the hill and bites a neighbor or one of their pets, or like some of those neighbors keep livestock, and I saw it and didn't do anything about it, to me, and to Dad and to me, that would weigh guilty on our conscience. And at this point, like after the neighbor killed this one, at that point we couldn't find, like, ours had moved away from the bush already. Like, he was no longer in the bush. And we're not entirely convinced it was the same snake. As crazy and improbable as it might seem, that two rattlesnakes roughly the same length were spotted in the same area on the same day, Dad and I weren't sold on the coloring. The one we saw looked more like a timberwood, and the one that was killed looked more like a diamondback. According to my dad, I'm not claiming any knowledge on that front. But yeah, either it was the same snake or it wasn't, and the one in our yard ran off. Well, like I said, basically like if it's a harmless snake, like a rat snake or a garter snake or something like that, it's not venomous and whatnot, of course, live and let live. Even Mom's is okay with that, and she is absolutely terrified of snakes. Plus, a lot of the non-venomous ones are easy to run off. The rake trick would have worked on a non-venomous one. They would have just freaked out and ran. But poisonous ones, or at the very least a lot of the ones around here, specifically rattlesnakes, very much stand their ground. One thing worth noting, this is the first time I've just gotten to watch one, like, do its thing. And it was kind of fascinating. And it's also the first time I've ever been, like, alone and been able to pay attention to and really hear one rattle. And it really is just like it is on TV and stuff. Maybe not as consistently. What a crazy bit of evolution that is. A rattle on their tail. But anyway, yeah. So that's a little bit of a moral quandary I had today. Because I kind of defended the thing. Mostly because it wouldn't have stopped in our yard if I hadn't stopped it. And then, but Dad made the good point, even if it didn't stop here, if it went up the road and killed a dog even, I would feel bad. Like, one of my sister's dogs, the older one, Bella, she's stupid. I'm sorry. Well, no, she's very smart, but she's also very stupid. In that, I don't think she would understand a snake is dangerous. Like, if anything, she likes to run animals and stuff. Like, she likes to chase the stray cats and antagonize them because she's dumb. She would do the same to a rattlesnake, and she'd probably end up getting bit, and honestly probably end up dying because of it. And if I saw the snake first and didn't do anything about it, I would feel very guilty. That's not to say I'm going to be patrolling the yard with a rifle or a flamethrower or anything. But I think when it comes to dangerous snakes like rattlesnakes, I'm officially filing them under see something, do something. And, you know, non-venomous snakes, non-harmful snakes as live and let live. Very unexpected moral quandary to have. But anyhow, I've rambled on for well over 10 minutes. I'm gonna go to bed now. Good night. Catch you all tomorrow.